Amigos de Loud Metal Radio, bienvenidos a una edición más del Loud Metal Podcast. Yo soy Poncho, ustedes me conocen como Doctor Slipknot y hoy estamos con una leyenda del mundo del metal. Él es David Vincent, ustedes lo conocen por su trabajo en Morbid Angel y por supuesto en Terrorizer, que estarán de vuelta en México el próximo mes de marzo, ya en este mes de hecho. Mr. David, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, and I'm happy to talk to you. And we are looking forward to seeing you in Mexico very, very soon.
Yeah, you have four dates right now: Monterrey, Mérida, Mexico City, and Guadalajara. So you're back in Mexico with Terrorizer after performing World Downfall at Candelabrum. I believe it was like a year and a half ago or so, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was Candelabrum Fest. That was a great festival, by the way. I was very impressed with that.
And a great lineup, and of course, a great venue and great organization. It really is one of the top metal festivals here in Mexico. So, what are your thoughts on coming back here to all these cities, of course, and playing these cities for the first time? I believe it's the first time with the band, right?
Yes, it is. Um, we see. It's funny. After when we did the first record, World Downfall. Um, we never toured as Terrorizer for that
Yeah.
record because obviously Pete was in Morbid Angel and Jesse Pintado joined Napalm Death. So they're like that kind of put a stop to Terrorizer because we were all busy doing this other stuff. So um, it was kind of a fluke the way the whole thing came together. But we did a couple of festivals in Europe last year, and then we did the Candelabrum Festival. And since then, our booking agent his phone is ringing off the hook of people saying, "Oh, yeah, can Terrorizer play here? Terrorizer play there?" It's like, okay, yeah. I mean, and it's cool because it's nostalgic. And people tell me that Terrorizer was such a big influence on them as they were growing up, with their bands and what have you. And it's also a lot of fun. So, anytime we play, especially in Mexico, the fans are so have so much energy. It's we kind of feed off of the energy of the audience. So, which has always been the case in Latin America, and especially in Mexico. The fans are great, and that's the reason why we're there.
Every band in the world says that you gotta go to Mexico City, though. Well, Latin America and Mexico City, of course, the fans here are so passionate for music, and it
Yes.
really is like sort of uh, an exit to the world of sorts. Of course, exiting reality and just having shelter in music, right? So the World Downfall as an album, and of course Terrorizer as a band, really has an impact, of course, and metal in general here in Latin America. It's interesting that you say all of this that your agent's phone has been ringing all over because. I believe Pete once said that there was not a lot of interest in Terrorizer back in the day when it was formed with you both, as you said, in Morbid Angel and Jesse in Napalm Death. So, what happened right now that made you return? That was there like a talk with Pete, or just popped to your mind, or what the hell went on?
Well, it's a really long story how it came about. So I don't want to get into details, but you know, um, there was uh, there was an ask: could we do a Terrorizer set for a particular festival?
Mm.
Um, and we said, yeah, we can do that. So we started rehearsing and put it together. That festival got canceled, and this is several years ago. But it was advertised, and so people said, "What, Terrorizer?" So that's when the agent started getting some calls about it. So he said, "Hey, like we're getting calls from European festivals now, and we're getting calls from Latin America. Um, is this something that, I mean, obviously we have several different things that we do, music wise. I mean, myself, I'm probably the busiest. Um, but, this is number one, it's a lot of fun. Number two, the love that we get from the fans is just second to none. And that really is, I mean, yes, music is what we do. It's our life. We make music, but it's so enjoyable when the fans are just so responsive. It makes everything worthwhile. I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of like a drug all unto itself.
Mm. Yeah, of course, making music and receiving the feedback from fans and all the support, of course, it must be really gratifying, I believe. Uh,
It's humbling. It's
oh,
humbling,
okay,
actually.
yeah, yeah, totally. Of course, and being you know, to make it humble after all these years of music and trajectory and so on, it must be like a real thing, like I don't know. You tell me, but I believe it's a real deal, So yeah.
It is. It is. It's very real, and
Uh,
it
yeah.
just it makes you it music to me is love. Even though various different songs, some can be happy, some can be sad, some can be mean, some it's not it's not necessarily the subject matter of the music that's being played. It's the energy exchange between the band and the audience. And
Totally.
when you meet people at the shows, and we always try to make time to to meet with people, and sign stuff, or take photos, what have you. I mean, that is because it makes everyone so happy, and by making them happy, that makes us happy. It's a symbiotic relationship.
That's so cool, man. I want to get back to the music in a
Sure.
second, but you said something about when you start getting together and I don't know how it's said in English, but getting the music together, yourselves as musicians getting back together. What was it like to go back at it again after all these years? I mean, were there some songs that, man, I cannot remember how this part goes or something like that?
Well, I mean, I did have to review it. I mean, there
Yeah,
was, some of it was just I had it in my head, and I still remembered it, from the recording sessions.
yeah,
Some of it I had to go back and listen to. I'm like, God, what the heck did I do there? Oh, that's
yeah.
right. And then, listening to it, and then when I have my bass in my hand and I start playing, and all of a sudden I'm playing the right thing, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's just just looking back into the deep into the hard drive of the brain and saying, oh, that's right, okay.
Like a
So,
muscle memory and so on, right?
well, to a certain degree, but yeah, I mean, obviously, we all had to review the material again.
Mhm. All right. So yeah, going back to the music itself, World Downfall was recorded, in the same context as legendary death metal albums, of course. What did you feel was different in this record compared to your work, for example, in Morbid Angel, or what's going on with, Cannibal Corpse and Dayside and Obituary and
Right.
Death?
Well, so uh, Terrorizer is grindcore.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it has elements of extreme metal, but truthfully, it's just really hard, fast punk.
Mm.
I mean that's the messaging, the lyrics, it's more punk rock than it is metal,
Mm.
even though the guitars are heavy and distorted and and fast. It's the sensibility of it is more punk rock than it is metal.
So it was more like how would I say it? Like different influences and different ideas, of course, and different sounds maybe put together for this record specifically, and that made it different from the other stuff, right?
Well, but even though it came up at that same time,
Hmm.
it's not. I mean, I don't really compare Terrorizer and Morbid. Uh, uh, you know, I mean, other than okay, me and Pete. It's two people, but I don't. I don't compare the music other than like I said, it's fast, it's aggressive, um, but there's no solos.
Hmm.
It's more just sort of punishing, just extreme punk rock with super heavy, sounds. So it sounds more metal, but in truth it's more punk.
All right, all right. And after 35 years of this legendary record, what do you think it's the element or elements that have stuck with people and have influenced all of these hundreds of bands and musicians?
You know, I, that's a good question. I can't answer that. I'm just happy that that is the case, obviously. Um, and anytime someone comes up to you and says that somehow something that you've done in the past has stuck with them as they were growing up, and it was been an influence either on their music or on their daily life or inspirational to them in some way or another, you know, that's music to my ears when somebody can tell me that, because it's not just about kids getting together and having fun and banging on instruments. It's about leaving some kind of a legacy that that folks can relate to. That's the most humbling part.
And of course, you did that with not only Terrorizer but Morbid Angel and all the music that you do, because it's interesting that it's two different genres in some sort of way,
Mhm.
Terrorizer and Morbid Angel. But of course, you have Headcat and your solo project, which is like on another, it's another face of you, you know. I'm interested in knowing what kind of relationship is there between metal and country, or how do you focus on the two of them? I mean, I don't think they're like fighting each other, of course, but it's interesting that you have all these, like phases or outbursts for yourself.
So, me personally, everything that I do, I look at it differently.
Mm,
It's not like I just walk in and go from one to the next. It's a completely different mindset between
okay.
Ultimus, between Morbid, between the country stuff, between Terrorizer, and or any of the strange things that I do from time to time. That I work with other people that they say, hey, I just did something recently. This guy's like an electronic artist, and he just kind of gave me some beats and a bass line. He says, okay, sing something. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? He goes, oh, just do whatever you're going to do. So I did something, and then he went to work on it, and now I listen to it, and I'm like, I don't even. I mean, I recognize me, but I don't. It's something very, very strange. But
Yeah.
like musical collaborations are an awful lot of fun to me because it pulls me out. It makes me think differently. And sure, I could just do the same old thing over and over again. It'd be pretty boring. Um, but like I said, everything I do, I look at with different glasses on, so to speak. So it's not. I don't approach Terrorizer the same way that I would approach Morbid, which is not the same way that I would approach Ultimus, which is not the same way I would approach Headcat or the country stuff or anything else. Everything is its own special thing, and I don't really. I mean, it is me, but I don't. It's a different me. If, I don't. It's almost like, okay. So one of my favorite actors, Clint Eastwood. Sometimes he's the man with no name in a western, and sometimes he's a really tough, badass cop, a detective named Dirty Harry from San Francisco. Sometimes he's an old man screaming at kids to get off of his front lawn. I mean, but it's the same person, but it's a different setting for each thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, just going off the rails right now, are you a big movie fan or not?
Certain kind.
Just Clint
No,
Eastwood.
I mean, I like what I like, and
Yeah,
my tastes are probably different to a lot of other people, but that's okay. That's why there's so many different things out there, right?
totally. Yeah, yeah. Which would you say? I mean, if I ask you, recommend us a movie or your favorite movie. Favorite movies, I know it's a difficult thing to say, but maybe recommend us a movie that you liked a lot recently. Which one would it be?
As in a new movie.
A movie that just got out recently, or something that you watched recently that you hadn't watched before?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I mean. My wife and I watch various programs together. I'm just trying to think of what something that I really. So there was a mini series
Hmm.
on Netflix, and it's called That Dirty Black Bag.
Okay, hadn't heard about it.
Yeah, It's a Western. I really like Westerns. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm addicted to Westerns. I mean, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is probably my favorite movie of all time, and I've watched it at least 60 times. And
Wow.
every time I watch it, I like it. Never gets boring to me, even though I know what they're going to say and I know what's going to happen. I just the texture of it and the acting and the way that it's written, just all time favorite.
Yeah, there's some movies or some series that you just go back to them. And as you said, you know what's coming next, even if it's a joke or something, and you even if it's the 60th time you've watched it, it makes you laugh the same. And that's you part of the great thing, not just about movies, but about art. You know, if you go back to a record or and you put it again for the 100th time, and you know what's going next, you can go back to some period in your life or the feelings that made you feel the first time. That's part of the great thing about art, I guess.
Sure, sure. And music is even worse. I mean, I don't listen to something once. If I like something, I listen to it over and over and over and over again to the point where, like, I don't I don't really need to listen to it because I can just play it in my head and I hear it. But it's still fun to listen to it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And uh, taking into consideration all the phases that you have in terms of music, what are you listening to right now, or what has been on repeat on your mind?
Um, well, we just finished a tour with Septic Flesh here in the States, which is one of my favorite, metal bands right now.
Hmm.
Um, so listening to that, well, I listen to them every night, essentially. Um, do you like them, by the way?
Yeah, yeah, totally. They gave a show about a month ago with a full
With
orchestra
the
and
orchestra, right?
choir. Dude, that
Wow,
was
I
that
know,
was amazing. Yeah,
I know, I know. That's those guys they're wonderful. They're wonderful people, and they're super, super, super creative artists.
totally.
Anyhow, that's one. Um, I some of the some Deep Purple records that are not brand new, but they're not super old either. Probably from the 2000s.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I like Deep Purple a lot. Ian Gillan's one of my favorite vocalists. Um,
También.
but I listen to all kinds of different stuff. I mean, that's the point. When I'm just driving around the ranch in my truck, I only listen to country. Um, so there's always some kind of music going on. Either I'm singing in the shower, or I'm listening to it on the radio, or I'm playing it down at my studio, or I'm on stage, playing with whoever, whichever tour I'm doing at the time. Um, Constant flow of music. Without music, I don't even know what I would do. I wouldn't
That's
be here anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, music has really saved a lot of lives, and it's a way of getting out, as I said, of reality and your feelings sometimes, to express. So yeah. Um, all right. So going back, what does the future hold for Terrorizer now that you're back in the band and doing all
Well,
this?
we have these shows coming up in Mexico,
Of
and
course.
we have a couple of festivals in Europe over the summer,
Okay.
and we're discussing some other things too that I'm not at liberty to speak with
You're
you
not
about,
allowed.
but
Yeah.
we're um, we have some things in the works. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, perfect. So we are eager to learn about that stuff. All right, so just to end this, we have a special section in here with some random questions to get to know you better. I mean, we've gotten to know you better with all these things about music and movies and so on. But I'm curious if you're okay with the random questions.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Um, so name an album that changed your life. It's a tough one, I know, but maybe there's one in particular.
Oof. Changed my life. Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare.
Oh, okay, how so?
Well, at the age that I was at, I mean, I had listened to him, kind of growing up. When I was a kid, I listened to music that was over my age
Okay.
because, like my best friend, his older brother had a lot of music that was, I mean, he was older. Like I was 6 and he was 14 or 15. So I would listen to his records and I'd hear stuff and I'd just be like, oh wow, this is amazing. This is, obviously different than the little kid records that that parents buy their kids,
Of
you know.
course.
So um, I got into what let's call adult music when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, and that hasn't changed. So I've just always listened to a whole wide range of music, from rock and roll and blues and country and classical and metal and just all points in between.
All right. So, does pineapple belong in pizza? Yes or no, or whatever?
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that there's all these different recipes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've had Hawaiian pies before. I don't care for it. I mean, well, when you're starving and somebody offers you a piece of pizza, if it happened to have pineapple on it, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, but I wouldn't order it myself.
All right. I watched an interview with you recently on YouTube, and you said something like this: the day that I wake up and I don't learn something or have some new experience, I feel that I have cheated myself. I use time wisely. What have you learned or experienced recently?
So, all right, to that end, um, it could be as much as meeting a really interesting fan and having more than a conversation of oh, hey, how you doing, like your stuff, sign your record, okay, great, have a good
Small
night, and
talk.
moving on. Right. It I met um I met this woman while we are on this last tour. uh she's a Pueblo Native American. She works in a as a conservation guide at a state park, and she was telling me about the things that she does and how she, has classes of kids that come in, and she introduces them to nature, um,
Oh, dude.
and teaches them, some things about the, sort of the local wildlife and whatnot. That was a very, very interesting conversation for me, and not something that a conversation that I've ever had, I think, with a fan after a show.
Wow.
Um, and it's moments like that that make the whole day worth even waking up for. I mean, apart from the show, you figure, okay, there's 24 hours in a day. Let's say we sleep 8 of those hours. All right, so that leaves 16 hours with which to, okay, do sound check and play a show. So let's call that 2 hours. Okay, so that leaves 14 hours. So in those 14 hours, you can, get a bite to eat. You can visit with fans. You can go for a walk, sort of enjoy whatever town you're in. Just do some window shopping, or you can meet people. Um, and it's just like what we do in that spare time, because really, when you're on tour, like I said, I mean, the job is takes an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours out of the day. So there's 22 hours left. You know,
Mm.
do we make good use of that? Do we sit on the tour bus and drink alcohol and take too many drugs, or do we get out and do we learn things? Do we mix with people? Do we find some good conversations? Do we find some new type of food that we've never eaten before? That's the part of life that somehow it's easy to overlook, especially when you're on tour, because you just get in this grind, and every day it's like, it's the same thing. So how do we make it different today? And what interesting conversation may we have today? Or what might we learn today? And it could be the smallest of things. It doesn't have to be huge and life changing. It can be just something that is like, huh, well, that was cool. That was interesting. Just something to add to the portfolio, if you will.
To enrichen the human experience.
Indeed.
All right, Mr. David Vincent, you're the man. Thank you so much for taking a time to talk with us, and can't wait to have you here in Mexico City, and of
Man, I
course
can't.
in the four towns. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait either. We've all been really looking forward to this, and it's coming up soon. So we'll see you soon. I hope I have a chance to meet you personally.
It would be my pleasure and my honor. Thank you very much,
All right.
and I hope you have a great day. Y gracias a todos por escuchar Loud Metal Radio. Nos estamos escuchando pronto. Gracias y hasta luego.